Hey everybody, it's Mike with Monkey Fab. Today we're going to be doing a little 8.8 action. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I figured the world could use another YouTube video about working on 8.8 forward rear axles. I went online, YouTube, checked out, I think it was Eric the Car Guy, watched his video, made me not want to touch it at all. But you know, I also watch Matt's videos on sloppy mechanics, so I can also go that route. You know, I have impact guns, so I think what we'll do is I have to. It's a 2006 Mustang GT axle. I don't think it makes a difference, to be quite honest. I think like all their axles became 31 spline, and basically I'm under the impression that all I gotta do is cut all the shit off of it, weld the spring pads on, and slap it up into my Pontiac is kind of the end game. What I did want to do is I did the math on it. They only come with the 3.55 bring and pinion ratio on these guys. So I did the math on that. I did like what the size of, let's see, what was it, like 275 60 15s with a 1-to-1 on the TH400 transmission would put me at like a little higher in the rev range. So I really wanted to be on the freeway because I want to be able to go like 75, not be the guy on the freeway loping about that everybody's just you know, this is a nuisance to everyone. So I did the math, and what I came up with was use a 315, 327. I think the 327 would probably be perfect, so of course I went with the 315. So that's what's sitting over here. We got a 315 Ford Performance ring and pinion, and jigs, lots of jig stickers. I keep these. One of these days I'm going to wallpaper the place or insulate the place with it. I got a strange rear end. This is the, I think it's called 1310 or 1350. I always get confused with all the, does it say? It doesn't. So, but this is a Ford 8.8 to like your normal, we'll call it the normal ass U-joint configuration. So that should just be able to slap a normal U-joint kind of deal on the back of it when we get done. And then we got a Ford Racing installation kit. is a lap of luxury right here. You know, being a car guy and not being able to leave stuff alone, we've upgraded to a sand filter and a rubber ducky chlorine dispenser. And the dogs have popped the air thing, so I have to blow it up every like 12 hours, or else it just drops and then all the water rushes out like it did over there. And but not bad for 60 bucks, maybe 100 bucks in the sand filter thing. And it's like 100+ degrees in Houston, and the humidity is ridiculous. Like, how humid is it? Here's my air conditioner line, and it's just drip, 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 drip. It sucks. But we're in the shop. An update on where we are. We got this thing disassembled. It is, the axles are over a mil. I counted the spline, they're 31 spline. I didn't really count the spline, I just assumed they're 31 spline. And we got the carrier out. It's just kind of sitting there. I wanted it to, it's been out for a week now, and I've been working in the shop, and in fab shops you get metal and dust everywhere, so I kind of did that to clean it up. And I have the pinion on now. So I have changed out the ring gear on this guy already, and I've knocked out the race for the I would have left the race in there had I known these guys were like standard. So when I was a lad of young, you used to buy bearings and races in sets, and I went down to the store, and no, you just can buy the bearings. And I said, well, don't they come as a match set? And they go, no, you buy the races or the bearings, or the bearings or the races. It seems kind of weird to me, but whatever. So anyway, I bought 2 new bearings and 1 race, and I got to knock the race in, and I got to take this bearing off of this this pinion gear, pinion gear, so I can take a look to see what shims. You know, my hope is I'm just going to be able to pull the shim out of that. I've heard good things with the Ford racing gear sets that is pretty much just pull it out and swap it in. So, you know, and I'm always lucky, so we'll do it Soundman style. You know, I'm always winning. So so yeah, I got to pull this guy off, pull the shim out, throw the shim and the new bearing on the pinion, press it in, pop in the race, bolt it down, get the right drag resistance, check the backlash, paint the ring gear, see what the pattern looks like, and then it should be done, other than cutting off all the crap. I should probably do that first, weld it, cut the crap off and weld it before. What do you think? Probably, yeah. Okay, so I'll probably do that first.
it was a lot more work to get to this point than what I anticipated. You can see the garage is just covered with metal shaving dust and grinding dust. So, but yeah, we got the brackets off and smoothed out. I got a couple divots, but I got these guys cleaned out pretty good. I'll need to go back in there with some acetone and clean them out real well. So my plan from here, I'm filthy. So my plan from here is to clean out the inner hubs and weld those guys using 309 filter wire in my TIG machine, just because it's easy for me to do that and I like it. And then once I got the heat into it from welding up the housing to the tubes, and since my inner race for my pinion gears in the freezer, my idea is to take it out here and kind of get it in there as far as I can without before I have to beat the bejesus out of it. So hopefully it'll in my fantasy world it's just gonna drop right in and just be the smooth. So in reality it's probably gonna take some work, but that's where we're at. And yeah, it was a lot of work. So we'll get this disaster cleaned up and get with the bringing all the welding stuff out.
Join us here every week. We're all about what's delicious and the culture.
Bam! Sucker just went right in there. Little warmy warm, little coldy cold. Now it's sweating its balls off because it's nice and warm. So yeah, that's changed out. These guys are all fucking welded up. Nice. Oh, so nice. And now it's a matter of getting the pinion bearing off, pulling off the shim, throwing the bearing, the new bearing back on the new one, and
what we've done so far is installed the pinion gear, and I have a strange yoke adapter, so it's like a normal GM style instead of reusing the Ford style. I think their new ones might be a constant velocity joint or something, but that has nothing to do with anything. Then we dropped in the carrier and we put the original shims in place. Everything dropped in place the way it was before is how we're rolling. And we just need to, I'm just gonna check backlash real quick. I mean, I don't have the caps in, but it may be close. We'll see.
I did not slobber paint all over it, but just don't think that's really necessary. But you can see the pattern here on the drive side is dead nut centered, and back a pretty good amount, and the coast side is centered as well. And yeah, it's a pretty good pattern there for a new ring and pinion. Backlash is at 10 thou, so has it become a faux pas to say we're gonna send it? I don't know. I think we're gonna send it. This me welding these tubes became like a big Facebook thing. Like, oh my god, did you have a jig? Did you jig it? And I was like, Sublime was playing. It's a jig, right? But yeah, man, I mean, these axles are pressed in. These are like 3/16 of an inch thick, and they're pressed in over 3 inches deep. Plug welded on both sides. Now, plug welded on both sides, 3.5 inches in deep. And I mean, yeah, I know that metal pulls. I'm not, I've been doing this for a bit. But my approach was I set about 140, 150 amps, and I just popped it real quick on 3 sides, and then started on the one side and went around it, and probably less than a minute, maybe just a little over a minute to get all the way around it. I doubt that they're gonna move that much, and you gotta figure what are the tolerances that these guys are doing at the factory, because my tack, someone was saying that, well, if you weld it, it's gonna sag because you have it supported, on jack stands. These things have the entire weight of a goddamn Mustang sprung on the back of them with no welds, and the entire weight of the car mashes down and forward on these guys from the factory, to include the Cobras. So I just don't see where that is going to ruin it. But I tell you what, if it does, I will be most honest and do a whole video about why I'm a dumbass and have to rip the entire rear end
out of my car and buy a new one and redo it again. So we'll all see. Hey, so just a quick recap, because I'm not really sure where I left off or if I wrapped it up. So quick wrap up. This guy is pretty much done. You guys saw the pattern was good. Everything went in. Everything's within specs. I mean, I literally just pulled it apart, pulled the shims off of it that were on it, threw it on the new one, bolted it back together, and knock on wood, everything was perfect. The backlash, the pattern, I was able to get the crush nut on the first try. I got most of the shit off of the axles. Had a few deep gouges, but it's pretty thick material, so I'm not too terribly worried about it. So that is gonna wrap this guy up. I think what I'm gonna do is from here we're gonna pull the car in, drop out the rear axle, suspension, the drive shaft, the transmission, all that, the exhaust, all that stuff's got to come off so we can get the Turbo 400 in there, you know, the new good converter and the new rear end. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take the measurements based off of the axle that's out of the car, and maybe just add like maybe a degree or just air on the negative side of the pinion angle, and just weld the pads off on this guy based off of the geometry of the one that's in the car, because it's working. And it's, you know, TH400 is a lot like a TH350, so yeah, I don't think that's gonna be that bad. And maybe I'll just like do some really heavy tacks and we'll just drive it a little bit and see how it sounds. And if it doesn't sound hideous, then we'll just burn it in. Yeah, so anyway, I'm gonna wrap this video up. I got way more than I needed to. I'm sorry, it seems like maybe a boring topic. I will say that I've done 2 differentials now, all joking aside. And the first time my buddy just showed up at my house and was like, Mike, let's you know, do this. And I was like, cool. And I was like, what do we do? And he's like, I don't know, I just figured you know. So that was a Ford 9-inch, and that was kind of cool because it's just all in its own carrier and you don't have to deal with like the whole axle mess. But that was literally basically the same thing. We just smashed it together using the shims that was in it, and put it back together, and it was like tits. Because before I did that, I read everything you need to do do a you know, the ring and pinion, the backlash, the pattern, shimming it side to side, shimming the pinion. I mean, there's so much to it, and you really start talking yourself down, like I don't know if this is, you know, something that I want to take on. It's something that seems, you know, really involved and detailed. But this is my second time, and you know, the second time around, it's the same as the first time. Old shims out, new shims in, bang it together. I don't think this is something, you know, if you are kind of fearing it, maybe just give it a shot and see, you know, see how it works out for you. Not terribly bad. So anyway, wrapping this one up. I'm sorry, I always talk too much. Sorry, this might be a boring video, but figured people might want to follow along since they're still working on the Phoenix and getting that thing wrapped up. So until next time, this is Mike with Monkey Fab, signing out.